In today's video, I'm going to share some of the things I learned about female narcissists from my 23-year marriage to one and being raised by a covert narcissist mother. It is exceedingly important that we as the male species understand when dealing with a covert female narcissist, the stakes are high. The hardest way to learn in life is from our own trial and error. The smartest way to learn in life is by the trial and error of others. So be smart and let's dive deep.
No tears, no fears, fully alive again after these years.
Hey human family, how are you? I hope all is well. For those of you new to my channel, I'd like to welcome you to Fully Alive Again. My name is Darren. I'm a narcissism researcher, coach, author, and survivor of a narcissistic mother, siblings, and a 23-year marriage to a covert narcissist. I have been through hell and back, and yet I am still standing, fully alive again, and completely and utterly happy to be alive. If I can do it and recover from the deficits and the setbacks that I recovered from, anyone can do it. Okay, you guys, let's get into this. I could summarize today's entire show with this statement. A female narcissist slowly drives you insane while stealing and destroying your greatest attributes, and all the while to the rest of the world walking around as if I ain't ever done nothing to nobody. I'm just an innocent angel floating around, shitting butterflies and unicorns, trying to make the world a better place. Just an innocent angel that ain't never done nothing to nobody. That summarizes it, you guys. It really does. But we really need more than that to understand just how vicious these types of people really are. Now, you've probably, if you've watched the show before, you've probably heard me say that we grossly overestimate the power of narcissists. And that's true if you know they're a narcissist. If you do not know what these people are, they are lethal, destructive, and can ruin your life in ways you never fathomed. They are only weak and hilarious when you know what they are. If you don't know what they are powerful and destructive. Believe me, I've witnessed this, experienced this firsthand. Now, the first thing that I want you to know, in all of our relationships, all human relationships are contextual. And a relationship with a narcissist female is contextual. It's the things that happen to us prior to that relationship that will make that relationship more destructive or less destructive. You see, I was raised, like many men, to believe that girls are nice and sugar and spice. You guys remember that? I'm really showing my age here, aren't I? But do you remember that saying, girls are nice and sugar and spice? And in just about every movie from my generation and even the current generations, women are portrayed as this innocent, beautiful, good human being. Women are known to be more agreeable, more nurturing, more loving. They're the ones that bring the peace and build a culture of nurturing and unity. They are known for cultivating harmony and excellence, for the lack of a better term. They are the foundation that keeps the world in a family sane and good. That's the way that I was conditioned to believe about women. And I'm sure that you and most of us have been conditioned that way. And if you're dealing with a normal, healthy woman, those things are true. I want to say this right from the jump. There's nothing on earth better than a good, real woman that can feel, that can nurture, a woman that is fully alive, a sentient woman. In all aspects of a relationship, there is nothing better. Okay? Now, having said that, there is nothing worse than being with a female narcissist. You see, my beginnings of understanding women, just like all human beings, starts with the relationship with your mother. I was less fortunate than most because my mother is a narcissist. I personally believe that if I didn't have 4 older sisters, I probably would have turned out to be a narcissist too. But my sisters hovered around me and I was like their little toy, and I was the baby brother of 3 older sisters, really 4, because my father took in one of his sister's children. But these women were constantly watching me and nurturing me in a way that would be similar to what a mother would do. So I got some of that, and thank God for it. But when you're void of a mother who is incapable of loving, it mutates your perception of love. You are flying with the wrong directions. Your plane is going to crash. The reason that I ended up with so many narcissist relationships, be it male and female, but we're talking about female today, is that I was designed for it through the relationship with my mother. Now, watching my mother and looking back on my relationship with her and her interactions with the family in the external world, there is one thing that is consistent, because I see this same trait in behavior in all of the narcissistic women that I've been with, and with my marriage to one for 23 years, is that they are living in, or let me rephrase that. They seduce you with a sob story. Now, when I say seduce, I should say rather, they blind you and brainwash you with a sob story. And this story can be about a past relationship. This story can be about a friendship and what the kids did to them at school. This story could be about what a stranger did to them. It is a story that is very compelling and brings out the compassion and empathy within you. And as time goes on, they start to condition you for living in the reality of their sob story. This is very important. You see, my mother conditioned me that most women are victims and that she was a victim. And I'm not going to go over the nuances, all the things that she said, but looking back on my interactions with her, 99% of them was her talking about what my father, what her mother, what her aunts, what people, period, had done to her. And it made me very, very sensitive and very gullible to the sob stories of others. Do you see the connection here? So when I went out into the world, not only was I thinking that girls are sugar and spice and everything nice, but if they tell you a sob story, believe it. a woman that's sugar and spice wouldn't lie. They wouldn't do that. They are everything good. Just look at their pretty faces, and they smell so good, and they're soft, and they're petite, and they're curvy, and they're just little danishes. Oh my God. You see, that is us walking around with a preconceived notion that these women are not vicious predators that can be as ruthless as a serial killer and be in a package that is so beautiful, petite, and feminine that it stuns you. It shocks your senses that this person could be that evil, demonic, and destructive. So the first thing that you want to know about a female narcissist is that they are not going to come across or look like a female narcissist unless you understand the logical fallacies that they will put into your head through their sob stories and through their beauty and essence, that you cannot weed them out. Because as a man, this is in our wiring, this is in our DNA, we are designed to protect women and children. A narcissist female is a synthesis of the two. And if you're not aware of that, they already have a head start on your ass that you cannot even perceive. So from the jump, they got you. So the first step in understanding this is that you cannot take a person at face value. And if they're selling you on their past history of all of the abuse or all of the trauma that they've gone through, be very careful about that. Stay conscious. Do not get caught up in the fog of their sympathy stories. You see, and here's another thing that makes it very hard to detect a female narcissist is that their trauma in the stories that they're telling you may very well be true. You can certainly be a victim of trauma and abuse and be a narcissist. In fact, that's the only way that a narcissist is developed. It's through some type of traumatic experience. Yes, some say it's in the DNA, but it takes an external traumatic experience to really catapult them in to NPD, into a narcissistic personality disorder. So when you hear these stories coming from a female narcissist, they will be very rich and very compelling. And they will be true. So the energy that she is conveying towards you, it is hard to not respect it and have compassion for it. But even in that compassion and in that kindness that you deliver, you must have one eye open. That is she pulling the okie doke. Is she one of those that ain't never done nothing to nobody? Just a beautiful butterfly floating around, shitting rainbows and unicorns. That's all that she does. She's just spreading love in the world with her yoga and her wisdom and beauty. That's all she... You've got to be very careful. Because what happens, gentlemen, is that you wake up one day and the good things about you have been reduced into nothingness. You become a bootlick to these women. And they use everything that they can to achieve this. They study you and find out your core values and use those core values covertly in arguments to road you away every day. They don't attack your behavior or address your behavior like you do in a normal, healthy relationships. Arguments are inevitable in any relationship. This is a normal part of human beings. But what the narcissist does is that she will attack the core of your existence, the essence of your values and who you are, and know those things maybe even better than you do. Because they've been studying you and pulling information out of you. I am just amazed by how my narcissist ex-wife knew that my mother was a narcissist long before I did. And she would say things like, "I'm not your mother," at times. "I'm not like your mother." Not like I'm not your mother, meaning she had to clean up after me and things of that nature. She would just say in an argument out of the blue during a heated argument, "I'm not like your mother. I'm not like your mother." And I used to think to myself, what the hell does this have to do with anything? And she knew that there were childhood wounds there from my mother. I don't care anybody says, call it clairvoyant or whatever. She knew this and utilized the things that she knew to whittle me away. You see, what makes us so ashamed of being abused by a narcissist, especially a man from a female narcissist, and it happens the same cross gender. In fact, everything that I'm saying is across the board from gender. I'm just speaking to men right now who are been in a relationship with a female narcissist. And this information is also important for a woman, because you have relationships with women and to know how these monsters operate. But as I was saying, the most shameful part of narcissistic abuse is knowing and watching yourself melt away and not knowing why. Watching yourself day after day, year after year, becoming less than you are and not knowing why. Becoming some kind of begging bootlick to the narcissist and not knowing why. That is hell on earth. If you are watching yourself become more dependent emotionally on another human being, on a female that you're in a relationship with, and you are thirsty for their approval or attention, and that was never your MO, you need to abort that mission and get your ass out of that relationship right now. I don't care how good the sex is. I don't care how fine she is. I don't care about anything. You are being melted away and you don't realize it. That's why Socrates said the unaware life is not worth living. We are not aware of what a narcissist is doing to us. And that is a life of hell. And it will hit the wall eventually. You see, because one of the things that a female narcissist does is that they reward you with gifts, be it external gifts from the store, love and kindness and playfulness and sex. My narcissist ex, and I can correlate it, when she was out doing her dirt to my daughter or to other people or out in the streets doing what a vulgar female narcissist does, she would constantly walk around my home office nude. Just come into my office out of the blue nude. And would do this and would shake her rump at me or do something suggestive, and just seduction on a regular. This was used to control my mind. Now, don't get me wrong. The sex was good. You can tell that when your sex is good, be it with your partner and yourself, it was always extraordinary, but it was used as a weapon, as a tool of conditioning my mind not to focus on anything but her physical attributes and her sexually. This was her MO, and it worked extraordinarily well. Because when I was pondering some of the crazy shit she was doing, she would come into my space with seduction, the true Jezebel. And each time that you sleep with one of these women who are trying to destroy you, they are sucking life energy out of you and brainwashing you, and I even think penetrating your spirit and your self-concept. So the seduction is very, very important. Now, here's another thing that I notice about female narcissists. Many of them are very promiscuous, but that's hidden by such a high morality of being the innocent, pure woman. If you met both my mother and my ex-wife, and many of the women that I've dealt with throughout my life that were narcissists, a high percentage, if not all of them, come across as a very high moral woman who is not promiscuous and who would never, ever, ever do the kind of things that they're doing and talk about other women who are promiscuous. That's another trait that they have. And so all of this is a mind F to get you to focus on them, or rather get you to focus on what they want you to focus on. And it's very strategic and structured. And it's almost innate in these people that they find out very quickly the core of the things that can hurt and erode you. And they store that in a memory bank and pepper it in throughout the day covertly. And this is where the crazy making is made. For instance, my father, and I grew up thinking men were bad because of my mother's conditioning. And she would argue constantly with my father, and he would get to a level of such anger and aggression. He never hit her, but his voice and his temper and just the rage in him would scare the shit out of anybody. I was conditioned to believe man bad, woman innocent and good. Now, my mother was provoking this man in what's called reactive abuse. I had no idea. In fact, everything I'm talking about, I didn't know about until I was in my 50s. Didn't know. I did not know. So, my mother provoking my father on a regular basis. He would storm out of the house to go get drunk and party with his friends to get out of the hell that she created for him. And then she would cry and come to me for solace. Come to me to help mollify her anxieties. Do you see the mind F? She was getting narcissistic supply from my father, messing with his emotions, causing him to be angry. Then she was getting more narcissistic supply from her children. Another thing that these women do is that they triangulate. They put sibling against sibling and talk to each sibling about the other sibling. And they do it in a passive-aggressive way. It's covert. It's not as tangible as you might think. It may fall to the line like, I'm really worried about your sister. She's been drinking so much and her husband's this way. Or I'm really worried about your brother, and da 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 da. And then go to the other sibling and say the exact same thing and do things to make sure that the siblings are never in a huddle and sit back and watch the family in chaos and destruction and suck it up as narcissistic supply. These people will destroy their own children and family for narcissistic supply. They are demonic, they are evil, and they are destructive. And they come in very feminine, beautiful packages that you just wouldn't believe. Okay? So you have to be cognizant of what is being told to you and what this person is doing. Because they are very deceiving, very deceptive. And they use your childhood issues against you. So when you've told them the things that you've gone through, like you would with any partner or mate, and you tell them the things that have hurt you the most in your life, they're sitting back laughing, going, ooh, how do I use this to slay this mother? That's how vicious these people are. Your childhood issues will be inflamed when you are in a relationship with one of these women. They will be inflamed. And the longer you're there, the more you become attached to them. This attachment trauma is real. And the more that they erode you, the more you feel like you can't make it on your own. I am so astonished and grateful for all of the things that have come back to me that I see that were eroded, that I wasn't even aware she had eroded throughout our marriage. And over time and through the inner work and healing yourself, these things come back. And I just shake my head and I say, oh my God. And all this time I thought I was incapable or I was void of this type of ability. It's amazing. And they do this on a daily basis. They are so full of logical fallacies in their communications, in their arguments, in everything that they say and do, that it drives you fucking mad. And you don't even know it. So, if you're in a relationship with a very sexy woman, and one thing that they all do to some degree is dress very provocatively. My ex, when I look back on it, it's like, how the hell did I let her walk out of the house with that on at times? I mean, it's she would wear never mind. I'm not going to go into that. Just understand that if your woman is screaming sex outside of your house, that's a problem. That is a problem. When I say screaming sex, that she's dressing provocatively. My ex never did that for the first 10 years of our marriage. She was like Mother effing Teresa. That was one of the things that caused me to marry her. By the time at the end of our divorce, she was straight up for the streets the way she would dress outside of the house. And the thing is, I kid you not, I didn't realize it up until the divorce. This is how brainwashed and how mutated your mind can be from these women. I mean, it is stunning how much of yourself you lose, how much awareness of your environment and the things that you're saying and doing and allowing in your spouse and in your home. It is utterly shocking. And it's embarrassing. That's part of the post-traumatic stress that we go through, the complex post-traumatic stress, is that we're so ashamed for being whittled away from that. But as I said in the beginning, all relationships are contextual. You were programmed for a long-term relationship with one of these people, because if you came from a healthy household and a healthy parent, you would have seen her energy. Not always, but you may have been fooled from them in the beginning. But if they became so egregious like my ex did, you would have abandoned ship early on. There's no way you would have stayed. And some of these women are keenly aware of these things, and they hide them throughout. I know so many people that are married to narcissist women that it's stunning. It's shocking. They are chameleon-like, and they will hide these things and only become these things when no one's watching. My ex had whittled me down because of my conditioning to allow her to do that from the parenting I've gone through from my own mother, that she just got bold at the end of our relationship. She went from pretty brown eyes to there's some hoes in this house. There's some hoes in this house. There's some hoes in this house. I mean, I am not lying. She did such a shift in personality traits that it was scary. It was so shocking. She went from this innocent woman of great morals and values and the good mother and the woman who only had one lover in her life to the biggest street party girl that you could effing imagine. When my ex mask fell off, it was stunning. You are never in love with the person that you think you're in love with, because that person doesn't exist. It was an illusion. They're not there. So anything that you feel with these women is not real. They are giving love through pretending that they're loving. When they say I love you, or I care about you, or I miss you, the stuff isn't real. You are in love with an illusion, with someone who doesn't exist, and that is traumatizing. That's part of the piece of the complex post-traumatic stress disorder. When you find out your mother's not who you thought she was. When you find out your wife is not who you thought they were, this compounds the childhood issues that you already had from being raised by a demonic, sick woman. And all of this stuff you will have to work through. The takeaway from today's show is that you examine and question everyone and everything in your life, and look at your childhood with your eyes wide open, with the third eye, and if there are some things there that are suspect, do your due diligence and investigate them. Because when you are unaware of who you are vulnerable to the ugliness of the world. And part of the ugliness of the world is a female narcissist. You see, as a man, we are not taught to understand that female narcissists exist. We don't realize that there are deeply malicious women out there that are deeply malicious and very targeted. They seek to find men that they can destroy. And they create an hallucination that they project onto you that keeps you attached to them. They understand what your values are, what your likes and dislikes are, the core essence of your existence, and they create an illusion, an hallucination that fits that perfect woman or image that you're looking for. And then they start to brainwash by using love and or sex has a leverage to control you. Do not take any woman at face value. Remember that these relationships also start very quickly. They move from 0 to 100 in a few days or a couple of weeks or a phone conversation. This is abnormal. When you experience that, run. Don't try to be the swell guy and save her from all of the sob stories that she's telling you. All men are designed to be heroic for women because of our physical attributes. Who we are as a species is a protector. But you can't be the swell guy to a narcissist woman. They will eat you alive eventually. You can in the beginning, but in the middle and the end, you continuously try to be the swell guy for a narcissist wife, mother, friend, etc., you are in trouble. I hope you got some value out of today's show, you guys. You know I always appreciate you guys stopping by. I got nothing but love for you. If you did get some value and or entertainment out of today's show, please hit the like button. I believe the message that I share are very important. And also share your own life experiences or your feedback on today's show. Your opinions, your thoughts, your life matters, and you can help others by sharing. All right, you guys, that's it for me. I'll catch you on the next video. And until then, take good care of yourself and protect yourself at all times.